Hey everyone, Mark Hart. Super excited to dive into this session for the third annual 2022 SOFA Summit. So I'm one of the owners of the company here and just very grateful for everyone that is taking their time out here, especially on a Sunday, to learn about this opportunity and to hear from myself, and more importantly, from the knowledge of Jim Reedy and the Reedy family. Jim Reedy has been investing in the Memphis market for decades, and he's just a really great person. They're a really great family, and I'm very blessed and honored to have met them 5 years ago. And hopefully we can meet all you guys one day too. So would normally we do get to have you guys in here, in town, in person. That's what a picture is below. This was about 4 years ago where we had two buses. We brought in a little bit under 100 investors, and this was over a weekend, and it's a lot of fun. But of course, with COVID going on, here's another way. Wanted to be able to bring Memphis to you, bring our experiences to you and our knowledge to you. And hopefully we can be a good fit and, grow our investments together. So let's dive on in. So in the beginning, we're going to start off with part one. So who should not invest? But then also, who is the ideal investor? Then what is a turnkey property? What does that mean? Then we have the three different types of turnkey providers, and then the risk and reward of turnkey investing. So we'll start off here as just a quick little reminder for everyone, which is the managers of Memphis investment properties do not provide legal advice. All prospective investors are encouraged to seek their own legal guidance. All financial information is deemed reliable but not guaranteed. Performance and projections are estimated and subject to change. The manager shall be held harmless if returns are not met. All investments have risks, and investors are urged to perform their own due diligence. So now that we got that out of the way, we just want to talk about who should not invest. Who are we not looking for? If this is you, then you can just stop right now, right? We don't want to waste anyone's time. Turnkey single family investing is a great way to grow wealth and grow the real estate portfolio, but it's not for everyone. So if you're that active real estate investor, someone with a lot of experience, someone that wants to be very hands-on, someone that has a lot of time on their hands, and you want to go find your own really good deal, right? And you want to renovate that property yourself or build the team to renovate it. And also just build the whole team yourself, right? You want to go out and make those connections yourself, which of course just adds risk at the end of the day. But if that is you, it's a great way to build a portfolio. We love the BRRRR strategy. It's what we do personally, but that's because we have decades of experience and we know this market like the back of our hand. Now, if you want another side job, real estate is very hands-on, is extremely time-consuming. And if that's you, you've got a bunch of spare time, well, then great. This turnkey really isn't for you because turnkey is very hands-off. Someone that wants to make about 20 offers to get one house, in the real estate market, that's really what you have to do. Those are roughly the numbers that we have on our company. Those are the amount of offers that we submit to be able to actually lock up a house. So you need to make sure you can get a good deal. And that's just time consuming, right? Those are houses that you need to go to. You need to do the home inspection. You need to make sure that it's going to be a good deal. So then someone that wants to renovate the house themselves, work with contractors, pick the materials used in the homes, all things that I think are really fun, but really aren't the best suited for a turnkey passive investor. And then finally, someone that wants to manage the property themselves. If you want to deal with the tenants and the toilets and the turnovers yourselves, that's great. Good for you, but that's really not who we're looking for. The ideal investor for us is someone that is a successful professional that wants to focus on their family and career, right? They don't have a lot of time, so they just want to be a passive real estate investor, right? The whole mindset is, I have a good career, I have a good income, and I want to be able to create future, I want to create generational wealth, want to create cash flow, but I want to diversify from the stock market. And I don't want to buy cryptocurrency. And you can't just leave the money in the bank, especially with inflation right now. So you're trying to find what's the best way to passively invest your money for the best inflation hedge out there. And that's real estate, because real estate does better during inflationary times. Rents go up, values go up. So this ideal investor, for us is also someone, you can be brand new, but you can also be an experienced investor as well. We have both that we work with every single day, which is nice and exciting. So the definition here, what is a turnkey property? And the textbook definition of a turnkey property is a fully renovated home or apartment building that an investor can purchase and immediately rent out. Turnkey home is often a property purchased from a company that specializes in the restoration of older properties. And those same firms may offer property management services to buyers, minimizing the amount of time and effort they have to put into the rental. And the goal of this is to grow your cash flow and net worth to the point that you can achieve financial independence, financial freedom, to where the passive income of this real estate portfolio is greater than your expenses, and then you're free. Right. Then at that point, you get to make the decision to do whatever you want. Now, when it comes to turnkey, there's different types of turnkey providers, right? And I like to rank them the gold, silver, and bronze status. So gold, it's going to be MIP right here, is a vertically integrated turnkey provider. So that's where we own the house. Right. My name is on the deed. Memphis Investment Properties is on the deed. We're the ones that perform the renovations ourselves. And we provide the brokerage services to help you buy. That's the easy part, the brokerage services. But the hard part and the most important is that we have in-house property management, meaning it's our own company. We started it. We have the payroll for those individuals. And that just reduces the risk. But then one of the best parts about in-house property management is that we also have in-house maintenance. So that means we're not third partying out every single one of the maintenance items. And so when you do that, the maintenance company that you farm that out to makes a profit. The property management company is going to mark that up to make a profit. So you're just paying for two different people to make a profit. So why not just cut out the middleman, have that in-house? So you're really only paying for one, thus you get a better deal. When you get a better deal, you get a better ROI, and that's the goal at the end of the day. So that's gold. That's what MIP is. And Reedy & Company is our in-house property management. We'll dive into that in the future of this presentation. The next up is the silver. It's a great way. It's a turnkey provider, but they have a third-party property manager. So they own the house. They do those renovations. They provide you with the brokerage services. So you own the house. But then once you take title, they're just going to introduce you to another property manager. And that property manager is a different company, right? They have a different profit and loss statement at the end of the day. So that it definitely works. It's very hands-off as well. I do recommend that strategy as long as, of course, you can find reputable people. Just know that, at the end of the day, you are going to be paying for two different P&L, so two different people. So one's going to try to make as much money off you on the sale, and the other one on the property management. If all that's in-house, that company can theoretically lower their overall profit margins to get you a better deal. And when you have a better deal, well, then you get that better ROI once again, and then you just come back and grow the portfolio. So that's why we're very fortunate here at MIP that over half of all of our sales are just the current clients that are happy and want to grow the portfolio. And that really means the world. Then the bronze is what I just call a glorified real estate agent. They've got their realtor's license, and really that's it. So what they do, they don't even own the house themselves. They're just an investor-friendly realtor. So the question to them is, do you actually own the house? And then once they help you buy it, they're just going to refer you to a third-party property manager. That's something similar to Roofstock. And a lot of the times with those houses, the homes aren't renovated. So when that first tenant leaves, you can get hit with a massive turnover bill, which we see constantly, from those types of sales. But then also you got to farm that out to another third party property manager. So just paying multiple mouths. And at the end of the day, you want to reduce those expenses so you can increase your cash flow. All right. So then the final type to be aware of are marketing agencies. There's some really great ones out there and they provide a lot of value and a lot of benefit, but just be aware. I just want to let you know who you're working with. A marketing agency, they'll have the podcast, they will have, a really great online presence. They'll write some manuals, some books, they'll have some events to teach you about real estate and investing, exactly what we're doing today. So it's really good knowledge, but they don't actually own anything. All they're doing is essentially referring you to a local provider or a turnkey provider, which is what we would be at the end of the day. And then we as the provider would pay that marketing agency, a referral fee. So it's always best to go straight to the source because that's how you get the best deals. But the good part about those marketing agencies is that if you're brand new and you're not listening to this Sofa Summit now and you don't know who is good and who is not, well, then those marketing agencies will kind of sift through that. They'll interview the turnkey providers, make sure that they're reputable on your behalf. So that kind of reduces your risk, which is nice. And then also, if you want to diversify and to go into other markets, that's a nice part as well. Here we really focus on one area geographically. But if you want to go invest in a different state, could be a good fit for you. All right, so now we get to dive into just what I like to call the risk and reward of turnkey investing, right? Why should you invest in turnkey versus just do it yourself? That's one of the big questions that we get on a constant basis. Just should I do this on my own, or should I go, turnkey? So when it comes to investing in turnkey, property management is key. That's one of the most important parts. They're the make or break of the overall investment. Doesn't matter if you bid one of the best properties, the Taj Mahal, if you don't have a good property manager that can pick the right tenants, keep your expenses low, you're not going to have a good return on investment. Now, these are investments. We are putting strangers in theory, into these properties. We do go through, all management companies will, you'd hope that the good property management companies will go through some rigorous screening processes, but still this is a risk. It's not it's not a fixed annuity, right? And so essentially you can still have issues like a tenant not paying a rent. You can have issues like tenants causing damage to the property. And essentially, if you are a serious real estate investor, all these things are going to happen to you. And that's okay, as long as you have that long-term goal and that long-term vision. Because once you've held on to this property for 10, 20, 30 years, and you have that zoom out, you have that larger, longer mindset, well, that's really where you win. So the question of, should I go turnkey or should I do it myself, or should I do the BRRRR? Well, the turnkey will traditionally have a lower ROI than a BRRRR because on a BRRRR, you're going to do the renovations yourself. And whoever picks up that hammer and does that construction is the one that takes the most risk. But if you're doing that, you have the best chance for success. So if you're good at it, you can have a higher ROI. But if you're brand new and you don't know the construction team, you don't live in the market, you can't visit the property every day, you haven't built that team out, well, then you can actually get a lower return on investment than turnkey because that's much, much riskier. So now the benefits of, let me move this on over. The reward and the benefits of turnkey is a reduced risk. If you're a little bit more of a conservative person, and the risk is reduced because you're not alone. You actually have a team of experienced investors that are in the market. And we ourselves have owned long-term buy and holds in these neighborhoods for decades. So all we're doing is duplicating what has worked well for us in the past, and that reduces your risk for the future. It also reduces your time. If you do it yourself, that's great, but it takes a lot of time. You got to build that team. You have to interview people. How do you know that they're actually qualified or not? When it comes to investing in Turnkey, right, it's for that busy, successful professional. So all you really need to do is pick a lender or pay cash, get pre-approved with that lender, pick a property, which is very easy to do. We send available properties every single week. And then from there, we'll just hold your hand through the whole buying process. And then you get to be the asset manager of us, where we'll send you monthly profit and loss statements so you can review. So the goal of Turnkey is so you can focus on your family, you can focus on your career, and leave the real estate investing, to us. And then big reward is the cash flow, is the rent is going to be greater than your expenses on all of our houses, which results in passive income from day one. It's really, really exciting. Not all markets can say that. Not all markets do that. You can go invest in California where it's negative cash flow, but you get some good appreciation, over the last decade. That's always nice, but that's not what we're trying to do here. Here in Memphis, we're trying to build cash flow and appreciation at the same time. So the big question for you guys to have is, well, hey, how much cash flow do you need to achieve that financial independence? And then just work backwards from there. And that's what we're here to help accomplish. Some more really great rewards of investing in Turnkey is leveraged appreciation. And think about this. Memphis appreciated 21% in 2021. Pretty easy to remember there. That is not normal, right? That is unusual. It was an amazing, amazing year. But this means that our investors that bought with us in 2021, most of them put 20% down and finance the property. So they got a loan, and so they only put 20% of the value of the homes. That's what they paid for. And then the other 80% was the loan. So if you put 20% down on a property, the leveraged appreciation ROI on that in 1 year is 105%. That's massive, absolutely massive. That's just in 1 year. And the way you do that math is you take the 12%. Sorry, that I flipped that. That's my bad. That should be 21%. And you divide that by 20%, and that will get you 105%. So the leverage appreciation is one of the best ways, or one of the best reasons to finance properties, because it just increases that return of the appreciation roughly by 5, which is really nice to see. Another, on a more conservative note, is the mortgage pay down. So think about this. If you put 20% down, the bank will finance the other 80%. And most of these loans are going to be 30-year type products. So after 30 years, you're going to own 100% of the property, right? But you didn't have to spend any more money to buy that rest of the property. The tenant paid their rent, and the rent paid the mortgage. So that 80% that this tenant in theory paid for, let's say the property is $130,000 in total, 80% of that's $104,000. So that's the equity that you got in 30 years because the tenant paid for it. So let's divide that equity by 30 years. So we know what the average equity is per year. So that's $3,466 average equity per year. But you only put 20% down. So 20% of the total purchase price, $130,000, is $26,000 down payment. So you're getting $3,400 in equity a year, but you only put $26,000 down. That's a 13.33% average annual ROI. Just having a tenant pay your mortgage over 30 years. That's it. It's a 13.33. Now, of course, you'll have additional costs like closing costs when you actually buy the property, and that'll reduce that down to about 10%. But that's powerful. A 10% return, bare bones, just having a tenant pay that mortgage down for you, I think is really, really powerful. It's better than the stock market at the end of the day. And that doesn't include the leverage depreciation. That doesn't include any cash flow or rental increases. And that, to me, that is hands down the number one reason, because I like to be conservative, right? That in itself just means everything else is a cherry on top, which makes it fun. Now, the big one in today's world is inflation. And we're seeing that it's running rampant. So the question is real estate a good inflation hedge or not? And real estate, it's the best part. Real estate is the best, one of the best inflation hedges out there. And one of the reasons why is because your mortgage that you get on these conventional loans is fixed. But inflation, as that is increasing, well, what does that cause? The rents to go up and for the values to increase. So your mortgage is staying here, but the rents and the appreciation is increasing. So that spread is just your profit in equity and in cash flow. So it just gets better and better and better with inflation. And that's one of the great reasons to invest right now is because, well, as of filming now, depends on who you talk to, inflation's running around that 9% range. So if you leave those dollars in the checking account doing nothing, it's losing 9% every single year. Obviously, look at the stock market. That's down double digits. Cryptocurrency has crashed, but hey, real estate is doing better. Real estate is increasing. So that's just something that we're very fortunate about. And that's what we want to, scream it from the rooftops at the end of the day. All right. So now here is turnkey versus doing it yourself. What is best for you to make it as clear, crystal as possible? So I recommend you do it yourself. You don't go turnkey, you do it on your own. If you're that active investor, you're an experienced investor, you want to increase your risk, but also your potential return. You got a significant amount of spare time. You're looking for another job. You're looking for that side hustle. You have a lot of knowledge about the market and you already have a trusted team built out. If you have those, then go do it yourself. But if you don't, then turnkey is recommended. If you just want to be that passive investor, that hands-off investor, you've got that capital to put into something and you're just looking to diversify from the stock market and the crypto market. If you're a new investor or experienced, it works for both. You want to decrease your risk, thus increasing your returns because you have that trusted and true team that knows the market and has the experience about managing the assets. And then you want to focus on your family and your career because you don't have any spare time. You're busy. That's why we work with a lot of small business owners, doctors, lawyers, engineers. That's the main group that buys turnkeys. If you're new to the market, right, you're not experienced, turnkey is a great first step. If you don't have that team already to be your boots on the ground, worked for turnkey, and you just want to plug into a system with proven results. So I recommend, that if you're new or if you don't have any time, that you start with turnkey. And then if you say, you know what, I really love real estate, this is what I want to do, well, then you can pivot to being more of an active investor. Then you can pivot to doing it yourself. But you're going to learn a lot by starting with the turnkey, process. And think of that like education. Some people will want to go do a BRRRR and do it themselves, and they'll pay $50,000 for education. And what I say is, hey, well, go buy a property, go turnkey. You'll learn a lot through the process. And hey, at the end of that, you actually own an asset as opposed to just some education. So food for thought at the end of the day. Next up is part 2. So we're going to dive into the real estate market highlights from a macroeconomic standpoint. Then we'll dive in more micro to the Memphis market, dive into the industries there and some awesome developments for the marketplace. All right. So one of the big questions right now, right, is are we in a recession or not? Depends who you talk to. And so that question is, well, what happens to real estate during a recession? And here you go. During 4 of the last 6 recessions, real estate values increased, which is massive. It's powerful. And then during one of them in 1991, it's actually when I was born, great year, it only went down 1.9%. So it was really just 2008 that was the anomaly, right? It is not the norm, but that's good to know, right? That worst case scenario, that 20% reduction. But why, and what was one of the reasons why, the 2008 crisis actually happened? And what does today's market look like? And that has a lot to do with supply. Look in red. This is going to be the supply of homes on the market during 2008 to 2007 to 2010. And then look at where we are currently over here in blue. We're not anywhere near where we were in 2008. And at the end of the day, it's all supply and demand, right? If we don't have a lot of supply and we have consistent demand because groups like millennials, my generation, the largest home buyer out there, are finally at that phase where they can buy a home, right? That's going to keep values increasing. Also, in 2008, there was a massive boom before that of construction. So always recommend following new construction starts and new construction sentiment, right? We build about 20 to 30 houses every single year. And you talk to your builder friends, and a lot of them are pulling back. They aren't building more houses right now. So if you aren't building more houses, you have a massive generation of first-time home buyers coming in, right? That's going to keep, you have supply is going to stay on the lower end. Yes, it will increase, a little bit because of where it has been in the past. But this is why the large groups are not expecting home prices to decrease in 2022. They're actually expecting them to increase. If you look at all the major groups, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, NAR, CoreLogic, this is what they focus on. And if you average all of their sentiments out, it's always good to be conservative and take that average. They believe that in 2022, we're going to have a 10.3% appreciation nationwide, which is massive. So yeah, stocks going down, crypto's going down, inflation is killing your checking account and the value of the purchasing of the dollar, and then real estate actually increasing. So we're just really excited about the space that we chose to invest in. One of the questions that we get a lot is, well, what about all these price drops that I see on Zillow? A lot of our investors are in California, and they'll look in their local market and they'll see all these price drops. And you say, well, does that mean the whole real estate market is going down? And no. What that means with the price drops is that the realtor themselves did not know how to properly run comparable sales to figure out what the true sales price of that property should be. And basically back in 2021, 2020, you put a house on Zillow and it would sell. Well, before then, in a traditional real estate market, you need to run comps, right? You need to know your market. You need to look at what's active, what's contingent, what has closed, and you really need to make sure that you run those analysis. And a lot of realtors just don't know how to do that, especially the new ones. And so if they're trying to get above market prices, well, then, yeah, you're going to see those price drops moving down to where the market should have been in the first place. And if that realtor would have just started off at the true market price, well, then that property would have sold. So it doesn't mean that values are going down. It just means that the realtor, in my opinion, is just uneducated and tried to get a little greedy and tried to price it a little high. And the second thing as well is real estate is very market specific. You have boom or bust markets like California. One of the reasons why you're even listening to this educational event is because California, while it will have some great appreciation in different markets, then you'll see massive price reductions. Well, that's the opposite of Memphis, Tennessee. And one of the reasons why we love this market is it's more linear, which means, yeah, we'll have some great appreciation. But when you see these major, changes and shifts in the market, but we still just keep chugging along and keep increasing. So Memphis is supposed to increase while the other markets like California in certain areas, are not. So it's very market specific, and we're just very fortunate about that. So if you look at all the data of recessions in the past, you look at home builders, you look at the demand that you have from future generational groups, look at the overall lack of supply in the market, and you put that all together, and people a lot smarter than me, that's where they said they think values are going to go up 10.3%. So very excited about that. Now, our wonderful, beautiful Memphis, Tennessee. So some highlights about the market. It is a major metro, which means we have a very a diverse economy, which is exciting. We got 1.35 million people that live here, and we're the 28th largest city in America. That average income is $52,000 per year, and those average property values $158,000. So the good part about that is it's a very affordable market. Your down payment can be 20% of that $150,000, which is roughly $30,000 plus closing costs. So that's what you would have out of pocket to actually acquire a rental property, which is much more doable for a lot of people than a $500,000 home in California. Next up, Memphis has a above average renter pool. So 43% of Memphians are renters, while only 33% of the US on average, are renters. And that's great because that keeps the more rental pools, the higher the rents will actually be, the more renter demand that you actually have. It's always good. Want to be able to reduce that vacancy and of course, increase your occupancy. Next up, we have some of the best rent to value ratios in the entire United States of America. Take the average rents divided by the average price of the home. That'll be your rent to value ratio. And that's a quick way to figure out, is this property going to be cash flow positive or not, right? Do that little math there of a California house, but then also do it on a Memphis property, and you can see the difference there. We also have nice low property taxes. Look at other markets like Texas and compare those taxes here to Tennessee. And that just helps properties cash flow that much better. We also have low insurance rates because there aren't a lot of major environmental threats that are out there. And we also have a group insurance policy built in for you. So one less thing for you to do. It's as if you own a few thousand houses yourself and you got to go and say, hey, I want a discount. It's exactly what we did for our own portfolio. You guys get to be grandfathered in. It's just another way we can reduce those expenses. Tennessee has very landlord-friendly laws. I think they're nice and balanced in terms of we were the first area to open up our courts and start doing evictions after the pandemic. And essentially, we also have had these really great programs during that time. One of them was called 901 Homes, that if you needed assistance and you were struggling, the government would basically give you free money to cover your rent as well. Because, we don't want to just kick people out of their homes, right? I want all of our tenants to pay rent on time every single month, right? That is the goal. But there are certain individuals that are, whether that's abusing the system per se, and just aren't following the terms of the lease. And Tennessee just believes in that contract law. And if they're going to break those terms of that lease and they're going to break the agreement, well, then I think they should leave. And so our courts are completely open, and that means we're able to get people out. There has been a delay, of course, because of COVID, getting people out from an eviction standpoint. However, that is clearing up, and we're getting court dates quicker and quicker, moving forward. We also don't have any income tax here in the state of Tennessee. So if you take that plus all the tax write-offs that you'll get from owning real estate, because the government encourages you to actually own rental properties, you should pay zero tax on the cash flow of your property. And we can also teach you advanced strategies, which we'll have later in the SOFA Summit, how to pay zero capital gains tax as well. So Not a CPA or tax attorney, just a real estate investor, but that's what we've been able to accomplish on our properties and what we can teach you for yours. And some other fun things about Memphis putting your investor cap on is that the tenants in Memphis, Tennessee will pay for all of their own utilities, meaning that if they owe money to the utility company, well, we won't even rent to them. They have to be in good standing with the utility company to pass our screening process. Then in Mississippi, that will go straight to the owner. But in Tennessee, you'll see that it's all in the name of the actual tenant. Then in our B and C class areas, tenants are going to bring their own appliances. Now I'm talking the fridge, the stove, the washer and the dryer. All we'll actually take care of is going to be the dishwasher and the fan above that stove. So what that means is when that actually breaks, well, then essentially what you'll be able to do is the tenant will be the one to take care of that, not you as the owner. So just less expenses. And finally, the tenants even take care of their own yard work. It doesn't mean, hey, if there's a tree that's 30 feet tall, that they're responsible to trim that. But basic lawn care, basic lawn maintenance, that's something that the tenants are going to take care of, so you don't have to. So now we want to dive into the map of where is Tennessee actually located? Where is Memphis going to be located? And some of the benefits of just the geographical location. So you've got the sun right there. That's going to be good old Memphis, Tennessee. And the fun part about Memphis, Tennessee is our location. Based off where we are, we're considered in the mid-south. So it's warm here. We don't get much snow at all. I'm from Chicago originally, in Colorado and Pennsylvania, and places where you get feet of snow. Down here in Tennessee, don't even own a winter jacket. So when you put your real estate investor cap on, let's use that snow as an example, right? Should you buy a rental property in Wisconsin or Pennsylvania, Ohio, Indiana, some more popular markets, Minnesota? And well, we got to think, well, if I go in those markets and it's going to snow a significant amount of time, so you could have a feet of snow on your roof. And what that means, that could damage the roof and reduce the lifespan of that roof while it's freezing and thawing, could cause leaks and cracks, and that just causes more expenses at the end of the day. You could also have some of your plumbing lines, supply lines could freeze, and that could cause more damages. And then, of course, the added expense of having someone shovel your driveway and the sidewalk can be expensive, and also an added liability. Right? What if someone doesn't show up and shovel the driveway, and then all of a sudden your tenant slips and falls? This could be an added lawsuit. So here in Tennessee, in Memphis, if we get a light dusting, it will be they'll close the schools down for a week. It's actually kind of comical because we just don't get snow here. We might get one or two times where it'll snow and if it sticks, it'll only stick for a few hours, just a light type of dusting. But the majority of the time in the winter, it's much more moderate, much more temperate. We're talking in the 40s, 50s, even 60s degrees. Let's just say you can golf year round, which makes it fun. And then due south, let's say, okay, well, let's go where it's even warmer then. Well, what you want to be careful down there in the Floridas, in the Texases of the world, is hurricanes. Right? Are you going to need flood insurance on the property? And that's just an added cost. Are the insurance rates just going to be more right out of the gate? Is the flood insurance going to be more? Of course it would be. So is it actually in a flood zone? Definitely something to think about and be, aware of. And all that does at the end of the day, is increase your expenses. So here in Tennessee, none of our properties need flood insurance, right? A lender, if you get a conventional loan, they won't even let you buy one of the houses unless you have flood insurance. So that's a nice, safety net as well. But if it is in a flood zone, because there are some flood, plains, within any city, because of runoff and whatnot, we just won't even buy there, right? You won't even see that house come available from us because that's just not something that I would recommend, anyone owns unless you're getting some ridiculous deal and some amazing rent to value ratio, and it's worth that added risk to you. Then what's also nice is you've got the tornadoes out to the west in Tornado Alley. That's just not something that we have to worry about as much as if you lived in the Oklahomas and the Kansases of the world. We do get a strong winds, from these tornadoes because we are close to it. And the biggest risk that you'd see from that at the end of the day would be damages to, there's a lot of trees out there in Memphis, which is really beautiful. But what could happen is that a tree branch could fall, and whether that needs to be removed, that could be expensive, or worse, it could fall on the roof of your house as well. So, when you're doing your due diligence, there are a lot of areas where you just can't escape the trees. They're beautiful, it's gorgeous, especially in Memphis itself. But if that's a concern, well, then just add that to your buy box. I don't want any trees overhanging or close to the actual property. And we here at MIP would trim those back, but there's still some that could fall, and essentially that could be an added risk. So it's something to always be aware of. All right. So next up, Memphis as a whole is that linear market, right? We've got some of the best rent to value ratios, some incredible cash flow. And what we also are really proud to share is that Memphis has had some quality appreciation even over the last decade. Now, the last year, 2021, that was just an anomaly, right? Don't expect that to happen again. We did appreciate 21%, which is massive, right? Over that 100% returns to our clients, which we're really proud of. 2020, we appreciated 12%. What I like to look at is more that long-term view. What's more consistent? What's more stable? And that's going to be a 6% annual appreciation over the last decade. So if you leverage that, put 20% down, right? That's a 30% annual return on your investment from that appreciation alone, right? So now we're talking some good ROIs, hence why we're here today. Next up, we're going to dive into is the rental market here in Memphis, Tennessee. One of the good parts about inflation and why real estate is the best hedge against inflation is that if you have a high inflation environment, well, rents go up. And when your mortgage is fixed, but your rents go up and those values go up, that's just going to increase your cash flow. So it's great to be able to buy an asset now and then ride that wave, right? It's all about holding on to the assets and thinking long term. So last year, 3-bedroom rents, they are now $1,247, and that's a 23% increase from the year before. 2 bedrooms are $1,170, which is a 13% increase. So once again, stock market's going down, crypto's going down, rents are going up, right? Values are going up, and they're projected to continue to go up because there's no new supply coming in. And that's, at the end of the day, is going to be another great reason to be a part and to invest. So now I want to dive into something that we are really excited about. And this is banner news. Highly recommend everyone dives into this. But the largest investment in the state of Tennessee and the largest investment by Ford in the history of their company has just been made. And it is going to be located just 30 minutes away from Memphis, Tennessee. So easy drive for our population. And it's Ford's Blue Oval City mega campus. So this is a $5.6 billion campus where they are going to build the batteries for their electric vehicles and also the electric F-150. It's going to create just about 6,000 jobs, and they're even creating an applied technology campus so they can educate and create a feeder program to staff this mega campus. So really great news all around. It's in Stanton, Tennessee, if you want to look where that is. So if you look at the map of Memphis, it's on the northeast side. If you really want to zoom out, you can look in between Memphis and Nashville, and it's on that interstate there, just about 30 minutes outside of Memphis. So the good part about it is, hey, 30 minutes, that's not bad at all from a commute standpoint. So pretty much anyone in Memphis, any of the areas will benefit. And the more jobs you have, then that just means that there's more increase in rents and just more demand. And that's exactly what, we want to see for the city. Next up, we just want to know, where is this city going, right? Super excited to be one of the best locations for electric vehicles moving forward. But we also have the younger generation. Generation X is looking to move to Memphis as the #1 market. And since they're the second largest group of home buyers, that's also going to increase demand and increase values. So it's really good to see that people want to live in Memphis, Tennessee. And why would anyone want to live here? It's like, well, the cost of living is below average. We've got a really great music scene. I mean, Elvis Presley, the king, is here. Some really great food with our barbecue, and just really great, culture, which makes things exciting, especially for that Generation X that is essentially priced out of some of the more expensive major metros. They don't want to live in Chicago or New York or California because it's just too expensive. And so that's where Memphis can be a good fit. So also what's exciting is 2021 was a banner year for the Memphis industrial market by virtually every measure. So Memphis is the distribution center for North America. We'll dive into that. That's what makes us famous. That's what we focus on as a city. So shipping packages, right? You want to buy something on Amazon, you want to buy something online, this e-commerce boom. Well, that all comes from yours truly, Memphis, Tennessee. So down here, we've been crushing our records. Leasing exceeded 32 million square feet, easily doubling the average of 12.8 million square feet per year. Our annual net absorption reached 12.7 million square feet, the highest ever recorded. We had 14.6 million square feet of inventory delivered to the market, new construction, and rental rates reached historic highs. And then the investment that year in this space reached a top $2.2 billion. So great to see. Where is Memphis going? Are people putting money into the city, or are people fleeing? And hey, lo and behold, look at Ford, look at the industrial market, and many other examples. So here is a nice map. You got Memphis, Tennessee. And one of the reasons why we are the distribution center for North America is just because of luck at the end of the day. Because of our location, we can put more goods on a truck, on a plane, on a train, and reach more major metros and more of the population of the United States than anywhere else. So if you're trying to ship your products and your goods across the United States, it makes sense to have a major hub here in Memphis, Tennessee. Then you also have we talked about the weather before, because it's very moderate year round, because you can golf year round. That means you can ship packages year round. So that really helps. We don't have to worry about these major delays during the holidays and Christmas because our runways aren't going to be covered in snow or ice. So that's really what makes us famous. I mean, we are a diverse economy. But this distribution, medical, and manufacturing are going to be the big three. So we are that distribution center for North America. We've got the #1 busiest air cargo hub in the world. That's going to be our airport, the Memphis International Airport, which is home to FedEx. We also have the fastest growing industrial market in the USA. These major employers, Nike, Amazon, FedEx, now Ford, just continues to grow. And we're also a top 10 city for job seekers, which is exciting. So that's why that Generation X is moving here, because there's a lot of employment opportunities here. If you want to work and you're willing to put in the time, there are jobs here that are available for you. And the reason we want to really dive into these is because a lot of these employment options are where our tenants are going to be working. And it's good to know that there's more jobs available for our tenants, which just increases our occupancy at the end of the day. So FedEx supply chain, they're hiring again. They've been hiring throughout the entire, COVID and pandemic time. They're the largest employer in the entire state of Tennessee. And FedEx is going to be focused here with their biggest hub in the world right here in Memphis. Now they're giving all their employees a raise, and they're investing another 1.5 billion into the market here in Memphis, Tennessee. Great to see people spending more money on the market. Then you have Amazon, which they're opening up multiple new facilities. They've actually opened up 10 new facilities in the last 4 years, which is really great to see. Amazon has been able to, there's this awesome facility up north, and that's through Nike. And that was so successful that Amazon built a advanced robotics facility right next door. So they have thousands of open positions, and they're just really excited and really bullish on the Memphis market. St. Jude's alone, we got a really big medical device and medical industry here. Once again, just because of our geographical location, but also because, the population. And now St. Jude's, it is really sad, right? Children that do have cancer, it's their goal to eradicate that childhood cancer. And essentially, the good part about St. Jude's is it's complete nonprofit. So at the end of the day, there aren't any bills that a family would have to pay for their child to go to St. Jude's. And they're pumping in another 11.5 billion over this massive plan. They're building new towers. They're creating thousands of jobs. And so just another reason that Memphis is growing and doing well. One of the fun ones that we like to share is that we're now getting on the southwest side of town in Whitehaven a film studio. This is going to be the BLP Film Studio. They're going to create a hotel, an event center, a dozen sound stages, and housing off 85 acres. And the goal is for this facility to be able to compete with the Hollywoods, the Atlantas, and the Londons of the world to create some of the best movies, top-notch, A-class movies out there. So good to see for the market as it's just well-rounded, right, as well. So we got the industrial, we have the medical, and now we'll have the entertainment as well, in addition to Graceland. All right, so that's Memphis. We love it. Hopefully you guys can come on down and visit us and spend some time with us. But now we're going to dive into the team itself, because once you've figured out, one, you want to invest in real estate, two, you like the Memphis market, the next big thing is, well, who should be your team? What questions should you ask? How do you compare the turnkey providers? And then we just want to introduce ourselves to you. So here we go. So what questions should you ask a turnkey provider? So recommend asking this to all the turnkey providers out there just to see their answers. And the biggest one is, how long have you been investing in real estate? There's a lot of people out there that, one, they just started, and that's okay. I mean, everyone has to get their start at the end of the day, but that does increase your risk. Also, what I like to ask is, how many long-term rentals do you own? It's kind of shocking that, some people out there that they're educating and guiding people on owning long-term rentals, but they don't even own any themselves. And, we're very fortunate that we own hundreds of, actually thousands of long-term doors now. And it's something that we've been doing for over 40 years. So that's just experience, right? We've gone through the trials and tribulations, and we've gone through the issues. And so it's nice because they've happened to us, so we can implement processes to reduce the chance they happen to you. There's no way to cut it out entirely, but we want to reduce that risk. And that's the goal at the end of the day. Another big risk is, how many renovations have you completed in your overall career, right? If the company is only doing a few renovations at a time, well, maybe they miss something, right? And maybe there's a chance that there's some major issues with that house, and that issues, once you buy it, could just increase your personal expenses. So having someone that has that experience, knows the market, has a deep bench of subcontractors that they've used on their own portfolios is really important. Another big question to figure out what type of turnkey provider you're working with is who actually owns the property. Is it you yourself? Is it someone else that you're just referring for, right? It's good to know, because you want to make sure that the person that you're talking to and working with actually owns that house. Same thing with property management. Do you have in-house property management, or is it just something that you're referring out, right? How many mouths do you want to feed? The goal is just one. Then how do you do your maintenance on the back end? Because that's going to be your biggest expense at the end of the day. So do you mark up the repairs, or do you have in-house maintenance? So marking up repairs means, think of it like a normal property management company. What they will do is they'll call that third-party plumber that essentially you could find on Google, essentially, and that third-party plumber will come perform the services, and they're going to have their own profit margin baked in. So now the plumber made their money, but then the property management company is going to upcharge that 10, 20, 30% for scheduling, so the management company can make a profit. So you just paid two different people at the end of the day. So why not cut out that middleman and just pay one individual group? And that's what you have here at MIP. And then next up, who screens the tenants and what are the terms of the lease? Always important to know, and having that quality tenant screening process, because that at the end of the day is going to be something that you don't want to just put a body into the house, because then they're not going to pay rent and they're going to trash the place, right? You want to reduce that risk. There's no guarantee that all investments have risk, but you want to reduce that risk. Something like, what type of income does the tenant have? Are they even employed, right? Very basic things, but you need to make sure that they get asked. And then what percentage of the properties have renters day one, immediately? You want to be able to make sure that, hey, if you go buy this house and then a third party property management is managing it, what if they don't rent it for 6 months, right? That could be a major problem at the end of the day. So one of the perks of in-house management is the management company is they're looking for a tenant while you're buying the home. So the majority of those houses here at MIP already have renters before you even close, which is key. Next up, what's the average tenant stay? Are they staying 1 year, 2, 3, 4? Plus, where is that number? Where does this fall in line? Here at MIP, our average tenant stay is over 3 years. So on that 4th year is when we have that average turnover there. Some are more, some are less, and important things to know. And then finally, what's the inventory look like? How many properties do you release every week? Are there going to be options, or am I going to be forced to just buy one house, right? Is there a waiting list, or am I going to be able to choose the house that I want? And here we're able to release multiple properties every single week to give you options. So now I want to introduce you to our team. You have Jim Reedy, Brad Reedy, Sean Taggy, and Mark Hart as the owners here. So Jim Reedy, he is the president and the CEO and the founder of Memphis Investment Properties. He's the reason we're all here. He's the one that started investing 40 years ago. He's the individual that owns the management company, owns the maintenance company, owns over 1,000 doors himself, and is just a really great mentor. And someone that is really dear, to all of us here. So highly recommend you can come on down to Memphis to meet Jim. He has some incredible wisdom. He's very knowledgeable. So it's always a good time to try to grab lunch with Jim. And then his son, Brad Reedy, he focuses on the financing side, and he focuses working with lenders and also on the apartment space as well. We just completed 3 refinances on apartments all at one time, and Brad took point on that. So he's extremely knowledgeable with those banking relationships, which are key in the real estate space. Next up, you will have Sean Taggy. He's the Chief Operating Officer, and Sean Taggy is going to be the systems and process guy. He's there to make sure that the right hand talks to the left hand, flipping hundreds of houses, managing thousands of doors. There's a lot that happens every day because there's a lot of people involved. So he's there to make sure that things go smoothly. And then yours truly, Mark Hart. It's where I'm here to help educate you, to guide you, to build that portfolio, right? How do you go from 0 doors to 10 doors? How do you go from 0 doors? Just buy that very first one. And if you have any questions, need any assistance, have any major concerns, please let me know. It's exactly what we're here for. All right, so now we get to dive into the Reedy family. It's one of the things that I love about Memphis Investment Properties and Reedy and Company Realtors is that it truly is that great family feel. When I'm in town, I'll be able to stay, at Brad Reedy's house. It was incredible to be able to go to his wedding. And there's just that really great family feel because this is just a family-run business at its core. So you'll see the different names. Reedy and Companies, that's Jim Reedy's last name. That's the name of the management, the in-house property management. And then we created Memphis Investment Properties to help with the marketing and sales side to focus on investors. That's the division that I run that focuses on helping you grow that portfolio. But both are going to be owned by Jim Reedy himself. So our competitive advantage, right? Why even work with or be even interested in partnering with a company like ourselves? Well, we're one of the largest turnkey providers in the entire United States of America. So we purchased, renovated, and sold 264 houses in 2019, 322 in 2020, and 324 in 2021. So the goal is we want to be able to do a house a day and just give you as many options as possible. We're working with over 800 investors all over the world, so you're not alone, right? We have a system and process that is replicatable and duplicatable, and over half of our clients are coming back for more, right? I want to get that all the way up into the 90s, but it just goes to show that we're very thankful and appreciative of all of our clients that are listening right now. I mean, you're the whole reason that we're here today. Now, in-house property management, that is key. It's the 4th best place to work in Memphis, Tennessee. Really proud. We got to make sure we have, happy employees, long-term employees. Also that we have experience in the amount of doors that we manage, which is over 3,500 and growing, right? We have that experience and we've seen the issues before, normally on our own portfolio. So that's why we're able to create those processes to reduce those for yours, but there's no guarantees, but we're trying to improve every single day, that constant small improvement of Kaizen. Next up, we have our own warehouse. So if you come visit us, you see the tour later in the Sofa Summit today. It's a miniature Home Depot. We actually do more volume with the few items that we have in our warehouse than the local Home Depot down the street because we're just replicatable, duplicatable, do the same finishes on all of our houses at scale. And that allows us to buy the houses or the materials in bulk. So we get a reduced price on those materials. So we can get the turnovers done at a reduced price. We can get our major renovations completed at a lower price. So that means we can add more new items to the home because the more new items that are on that house, the day you buy it just reduces your expenses. Then we have a whole maintenance and construction company. It's called Value Home Maintenance. Their hourly and salary team is on the payroll, which is exciting to see. So we took that all in-house because we said, well, what's the most expensive part of this process? And that's maintenance. And we decided, well, we could slap on a 20% markup to someone else's work Or we could just do that work ourselves and pass along those savings, the bulk of those savings to you as an investor. So you want to come back and grow the portfolio. So that was our reason why for creating that. Then our experience, we also have acquired over 1,300 apartment units in the last 5 years, something that we'll dive into later on here in the Sofa Summit. We love apartments as well, large apartments and single family homes, two things that we're big fans of, because we always recommend diversify. Right? There is no right or wrong answer. And just like turnkey versus BRRRR versus doing it yourself, right? Everyone's different. And hopefully by the end of this summit, you'll be able to know which one is best for you. Then from a total construction standpoint, we renovated over 6,000 units and houses in our career. So it's not our first rodeo. We know what to look for from on the construction side and the renovation side, which just reduces risk. Then we're also have our own in-house brokerage, one of the top brokerage in all of Memphis, Tennessee. So it just gives us validity, of course, MLS access. So we're making offers every day, all day on the MLS and the market to be able to buy more deals for you guys. All right. So now we're going to go into the fun part about what is our turnkey process, our proven process that's replicatable and duplicatable. It starts with acquisitions where we buy the house ourselves, right? I am the owner, Memphis Investment Properties. Then it goes to the renovations. We'll do the renovations to add those maintenance preventers to the property. Then we have our in-house brokerage, the sales side, to hold your hand and help you buy the property from us. So you take title once the rehab is 100% completed. So now you got a newly renovated house. You own the actual property. And this entire time this has been happening, Reedy & Company has been doing the management. And what does that mean? They've been looking for a tenant. And the majority of the time when you own that property, there's already that tenant getting you cash flow from day one. So on the acquisitions side, this is the hard part at the end of the day. We have an incredible team. There's Eric Hobbs. He's been with us since the beginning. Him and his team, we have 10 people in total to pull this all off. And well, the question is, how can you find so many houses every single week? Because we have really great people and we spend a lot of money on marketing. So we spend over $1 million a year in advertising. Our franchise is We Buy Houses. So you'll see the billboards down at the bottom. We're all over the local news channels. We're all over the radio. We have our online ads as well. So if you see those, We Buy Houses as is, no repairs necessary, quick close, pay cash, that's us. And that's how we're able to create this inventory for you. Next up, so once I'll buy the home, now we start with the renovations. Here's a picture of a completed renovation on a property. And the goal is to say, well, once you own the house, how can we make sure you aren't going to run into a large expense, right? I don't want you to buy a home and all of a sudden have to put on a new roof next month. I don't want you to have to buy a home and have to put in $10,000 worth of repairs to get it rent ready, right? With our process, you don't have to spend any money, zero, to get a tenant in place. And that's because we are spending over $35,000 on average to renovate these properties. And that's a big number here. I mean, that can be new 30-year architectural shingle roofs, new HVACs, new water heaters, updated plumbing and electrical, painting the property, whether that's definitely on the inside, sometimes on the outside, landscaping, fascias, the whole house, updating those bathrooms, and just making it a clean and safe place for someone to raise a family. That's the goal. I mean, we're not going in with we don't over renovate it in terms of, you don't need to have, nice granite countertops and stainless steel appliances and shaker style cabinets. This is a rental property, right? You need to be able to just focus to your target market. And our target market wants clean, safe, and functioning. They want that AC to work in summer and that heat to work in the winter. And that's who we focus on. And we know exactly what that renovation needs to be. Then we also have a 1-year construction guarantee. And so if you buy the house from us, then and anything happens from a construction and a maintenance side within that first year, our team's going to look at it. And, let's say it's something along the lines of the AC condenser. Well, we're going to guarantee that that AC condenser works for at least a year. So I would pay that bill on your behalf. And a lot of the times I'll just give that to the original subcontractor that did the work and say, you need to fix this. So it's nice to know that you have that little protection and that cushion there. Just want to go through some, brief before and afters. On the left is what the houses look like when we buy it. On the right, once the renovations are completed. So we love putting in tile, love being able to put in, there's new vanities, new tubs, but we don't go over the top once again from a renovation, because also keep in mind the photos on the right, this is the condition that you need to keep the property in moving forward. So that's a good thing. You don't need to add in those shaker style cabinets or those above average types of fixtures, which is good. Just keeps those expenses low. Love being able to go in, add Formica countertops for the B and the C type areas. Love being able to either paint the cabinets if they're in good shape or add brand new cabinets. If not, it just depends on the current ones. We like to go in and add new sinks and new hardware, new blinds, get rid of the wallpaper, paint the interior, new tile, just really make sure that it's that clean, safe, and functioning. We're not that big of a fan of painting the cabinets bright white, which because it looks really pretty, don't get me wrong, but think about it. Things that are white get dirty quickly. When things get dirty quickly, you have to spend money to clean them or repaint them. And if you paint them this light gray, this peppercorn type gray, well, then maybe you can go 1 or 2 tenant turnovers longer, thus reducing your expenses. Love the floors. This is a big one from turnkey providers. Some folks will put in carpet. We don't recommend that. We put in hard surface floors throughout the house. And we like the luxury vinyl plank, the LVP, because it's waterproof. And also you can just pop up one individual little shingle of it and put a new one down. So it's not one big sheet of vinyl. So if there are any issues with that floor, you can just pop up a few of those shingles and off you go, thus saving future time and future expenses. Now, once the renovations are completed, next up is going to be agency representation. That's what I'm going to focus on, holding your hand to help you buy the property from us. So the work is completed. Next up, we're going to get you your home inspection and your appraisal. You're not going to close on this home until the renovations are 100% completed, inspected with a photo, with videos, and you get the thumbs up all around. The really nice part about our process is once we give that home inspection report, once we get that home inspection report, I just give that to the construction team and they make the majority of those repairs for free. Sometimes they won't do 1 or 2 items, but that's just because we wouldn't do it on our own properties. We're able to release multiple houses each week with no wait list to give you options. Also to cater towards, if you want to buy one house, fantastic. A lot of folks will say, you know what, I want to come in and get a small handful. But you can do that as well, as opposed to having to wait and buy one house a year. It's really hard to scale doing that. The great part of sales is you don't have to leave your house. You can have to actually buy this home. You don't have to ever come to Memphis. Now, we would love to have you come, but you don't have to. So you could be able to sign the docs electronically. A mobile notary will come to your house to actually close on the transaction. And then you just wire the funds from online by just calling your bank. And then we'll make sure you have those pro videos, professional photos, and drone footage as well, so you can see it from a high level. Now, the Reedy in-house property management company, it formally started in 2002, but even before that, Jim was personally managing his own properties. And that started in the 80s. So decades of experience managing houses. Currently, I have over 80 employees to pull this off. So it's just a well-oiled machine. I do have those over 800 investors, but the big one is we have a 22,000 square foot campus. So everyone is housed and located under one roof. Everything from acquisitions to renovations to sales, property management, the maintenance team, and the warehouse as well. So that just allows us to increase our operations and make things go as smoothly as humanly possible. So next up on the management side, we're full service management. So we'll do everything from A to Z for you on your behalf. So you never have to come to Memphis. We have clients that live in New Zealand, Australia. We have clients in the Navy that say, I'm going down on a nuclear submarine, and they don't even know where they're going, obviously with no cell service. And so we can manage for them as well, which we're really thankful for. So on the leasing side, we have our own in-house leasing agents that the fun part about it is they're not biased. All they see, the in-house leasing agents, is the address, and they get paid the same amount for all of the addresses. So they don't know who is the owner. So your portfolio as an investor that owns one house will get treated from a leasing side that exact same as someone that owns 10 houses. And that's really great, right? We want to make things are fair for everyone across the board. We're able to do 12 to 24 month leases. It just depends on what's going on from a macroeconomic standpoint. Pre-COVID, we were doing 24-month leases. Now we pivoted to 12-month leases because we want to be able to increase that rental rate drastically to keep up with inflation. So depending on what that's looking like, we're able to raise rents anywhere from 4 to 10% during those lease renewals, which is really great to see. And we'll do all of that for you on your behalf. We'll run those numbers to figure out how high we can push those rents because we get paid based off income and collected rents. So we're motivated to increase those rents on your behalf. So we'll do our in-house screening and final approval just to make sure that we can get quality tenants, right? It's not about the quantity. It's about those that are actually paying. The tenants have to have steady employment, make 3 times the monthly rent to actually qualify. We set a budget for all of our tenants. Well, they set the budget and give it to us. We need to make sure that they're able to save money at the end of the month. So what are their expenses? And sometimes people will come in and their expenses are more than their income, and boom, it's an automatic decline. Takes a little bit more time, but it helps. We also have the AI system that gives us a score. It looks at their credit score. It looks at everything, all their data, and gives us a score if they're going to pay or not. And then we have some more technology. We use Tenant Turner, which will increase the amount of showings and feedback to the owner. So it's a little lockbox on the front door. So a tenant doesn't have to drive to our office to get the key, go with a leasing agent to the actual house, and just back and forth. They can just show up at the house, type in their information. We'll make sure we have credit cards, driver's license, important information, and they can just view the house on their own. And then the system will score it. It's really incredible because then you can say, well, hey, when we give you that update of how's the leasing activity, we can say, oh, we've had this amount of showings and this amount of applications, and here's the feedback that we got from the tenants. Then the average tenant stay, that's going to be over 3 years. So on that 4th year is when you should expect that turnover and that vacancy. And that's something that we're very proud of. And we work constantly every single day to help increase. Next up on the collection side, right, it's about quality, not quantity. So we're able to collect 97% of the rent by the end of the month, and then 99% by the 15th of the following month. So we don't stop. If the tenants haven't paid rent by the end of the month, we continue to try to collect and have a really great success at that. Now, there is evictions, and that does happen, depending on the areas that you go into, that can sway the eviction rate. So 3% eviction rate in a C, 2% eviction rate in a B, and 1% eviction rate in an A class area. So that's one of the things to figure out, should I buy A, B, or C? Well, the eviction, comes into play there. And then landlord friendly laws that help. Once again, our area was the first to open up the court systems to start the evictions for those that were, truly just taking advantage of the system, which, when you do thousands of anything, you're going to have those bad apples. And, we will help go through that entire process for you. But at the end of the day, that is one of the worst things that can happen. And, this isn't all, roses and dandelions, right? This is going to happen to you, and it's okay. At the end of the day, it's not like this is a failure. It's not like Memphis is a bad market or we're a bad company. You just need to go in with that mindset, knowing that it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And as long as you have that long-term view and that long-term vision, well, hey, let's say you have an eviction that year, you probably won't get any cash flow that year. But hey, if you own the property and bought it last year, you got 100% return on your appreciation. So that's not bad from a worst case type scenario standpoint. Of course, the goal is to have both, but that's the fun part of real estate. And one of the reasons why we love it for sure. So next up on the maintenance side, it's great that we have, this is a picture of our warehouse. Please come on down, do a little tour. You'll be able to see we have a full-time warehouse manager who they spend their time trying to call all of these distributors and wholesalers and saying, hey, if I buy a few hundred boxes, a few thousand individual units, can I get a discount? Then next up, the big one. We always want to preach this, drill this in, is that we've got our own construction crews as opposed to just farming it out to a third party and slapping on a markup on someone else's work. So if you compare, our invoices towards someone else's invoices, on the management sides, ours will be lower, and that's what we're very proud of. Next up, portfolio management, right? You are 1,000 miles away. Well, we want to make sure that you can get a hold of the team. So when you buy the property, you can just call me. Got my cell phone right here. But once you've owned the property on the management side, we have a portfolio management client services department, which is 4 people and 1 email address. So this is it. For anyone out there, if you own a house with us or you're looking at buying a house with us and you have any questions at all, just contact that 1 email. Save that email. It's the place to go. If you want to schedule a phone call, you'll get Calendly links as well. We have some clients that want every single month, they want to go over their financial reports and we'll walk them through that with them. And some people just want to do that in the beginning so they can help just understand and really know what's happening. And we're more than happy to oblige. Other people, they say, hey, don't bother me. Don't bug me. Just send me my cash flow and I'm busy. And so you just let us know, what is needed and we are there to assist. All right. So now fees, right? How does the management company make money? Well, one, it's on gross collected rent, which is 8%. So if we don't collect the rent, we're not making the money. So we're incentivized to pick good quality tenants and to actually make sure that we can increase your rents, because the more that we increase the rents, the more likely, the more income both of us make. Now, once that tenant wants to renew their lease, $250 for us to do the market analysis, to reach out to the actual tenant, negotiate with them, right? That all takes time, which is only $250, very nominal. Then we also want to make sure that the tenants are taking good care of the property. So for $100 once a year, we actually go into the property in person and we'll go into the home and we'll make sure that the home is in good condition and there aren't any lease violations. We want to make sure there aren't any security or safety violations. What if there's dogs and they didn't tell us there were dogs? Well, we want to make sure, are they dangerous breeds, or is it a little multi-poo, which is 8 pounds, which is like what I have? And essentially, well, then there's pet rent and the tenants will pay more. Things of that nature. Want to make sure that there's fire extinguishers, batteries in the smoke alarms. Then if the property is vacant, well, then it's 50% of the first month's rent to find that new tenant. And these are all nice discounts. If you look at other management companies in the space, they'll do 100% of the first month's rents. They'll do 10% gross collected rents. And then, of course, the big one is they slap a markup on someone else's work on the maintenance side. So that's the most important. Next up, we have a whole accounting team. And this accounting team, well, number one, they're going to deposit the cash flow into your account after you paid those management fees that we just discussed. So you'll get monthly distributions of cash flow. Then they'll also create a profit and loss statement. So you get to be the asset manager of us. And it takes 5 minutes. You can scroll through. It's very detailed and organized. And if you have any questions about it, boom, reach out to the client services department. And then finally, every year, we'll get you a Schedule E. So you can take all your income and expenses and tax write-offs and boom, just plug that number in to be able to get those write-offs, pass it along to your CPA. It's one of the big things that we recommend. If you own rental properties, you should have a CPA that specializes in rental properties and real estate investors. We'll have another one on, or we'll have one on the summit later in the weeks to come. And then finally, if you wake up in the middle of the night and you're like, what's going on? Well, you'll have your own owner's portal. So you'll be able to log in at any time with your own username and password to see things like what's the occupancy, where are my P&Ls, where are the security deposits, have the tenants paid rent, and to just make sure that everything is in one place so you can access that at any time. But we just want to make sure, that we're available and there for you. Then finally, so now let's say, hey, this all sounds great. What are the next steps? I'm interested in taking action, and how do I get more information? Excuse me. Well, the first question is, how do you want to pay for the home? That's the biggest thing for you to figure out. And that could be cash. Well, then we just need a proof of funds letter, or it could be financing. Most folks will get a conventional loan. We'll have a few of those really great lenders on to discuss that. And if you want to finance, the first thing to do is get a pre-approval letter. So reach out to one of the reach out to one of the lenders and say, hey, I want to get pre-approved. I'm interested in buying a house. It doesn't cost any money. You aren't forced to buy a property. But if you have that pre-approval letter in hand, then you can go to the next step, which is being able to actually put in an offer. Well, how do you even see the inventory of our houses? Well, that's by joining our buyers list. We're very transparent and open with our inventory. And essentially what you'll be able to do is if you go to our website down here, memphisinvestmentproperties.net, .net's kind of funky. Then you'll go to the website and right here in the middle, it says our properties. You click that button there and that will allow you and take you to the actual buyer's list. You want to join the buyer's list. And all we're going to do, ask your name, phone number, contact information. We'll send you some more educational content. But then every week moving forward, we will email you with new inventory. Okay, you'll see that there's on the website, all the houses are sold. That's because we sell out every single week because we have a lot of happy clients and we're really proud of that. Work very hard to make that happen. So, well, how do you find the new inventory? Well, that's all by design. So if you join the list on Tuesday, well, then on Wednesday afternoon, normally around 5 p.m. Central Standard Time is when you should get an email, and that's the new inventory. So Wednesday night is property night. We want you to analyze the houses on Wednesday night and Thursday morning. Call me on Thursday. We can dive in. I can help guide you, help, be there to say, should I buy A or B or C? Should I buy $100,000 house, 150, 200,000? You just tell me your goals, because it's not a one size shoes fits all at the end of the day. And I can kind of help, guide you along the way. So then you'll be able to fill out the form. If you're interested and you say, hey, I want to, take a step back. On that email there's going to be a big button that says, click here for more information. And that's going to take you to the Google Drive, which is what we call the due diligence vault. Just means there's information about the property. And you'll see the pro forma, the income and expenses, the tax information. We'll have photos. A lot of the times, the houses that we have, we just started the renovations. So pro photos are professional photos, means the renovations are done. If it says pre-renovation or progress photos, that's how you know we're working on it. We'll send you the scope of work so you can see the renovations that we're going to do on the property. And then if you say, you know what, I am interested in this home. I've already talked to Mark. I don't need to talk to Mark, whatever that may be. On that email is a form to reserve the property. This form just keeps me organized at the end of the day, because we do normally get multiple offers on the property. So you just fill that out, answer the questions, and I'll give you a call normally on the next day, which is Friday. And so we can go over any questions you may have. And, if you're still interested and excited, well, then we'll be able to send you the contract and you can start that buying journey. So at the end of the day, that's really it. If you want to learn more information, we recommend going to our website, memphisinvestmentproperties.net, to learn more. We also have the Turnkey Starter Pack, which is a detailed pamphlet that just goes into all the nuances and more information if you like to read. If you like to listen and watch videos, we have a lot of this content out here, just like the summit on our YouTube channel. And one of our main pillars is education. So that's why the more we can educate you about the pros and the cons, the better foundation you will have, and the more likely we are able to scale together. So here is a picture of the Turnkey Starter Pack. It's at the very bottom of our website. You can download it for free. It's definitely something that I recommend if you're that real nerdy data type. You can dive in there and just learn a lot and read a lot about the process. Here's a picture of our wonderful YouTube channel that we love to have. So check out some of the videos, that we have here. Anything from talking to our current clients to talking to property management, just a little bit of everything about real estate, about Memphis, and about MIP. And finally, highly recommend you check out the reviews. Believe as of filming, we're the highest reviewed company turnkey provider in the entire United States of America. So I'm really proud of that, on Google. So I recommend, diving in, just reading some of the reviews from our current clients that we have. And we have 800 clients, and believe as of now about 152 positive, really great reviews. So really, really proud, of what we've been able to accomplish and what the feedback that we get from the investors, because we're not perfect. This is not going to be a straight line up from an investment standpoint either. There's going to be bumps along the way. We're telling you that now. But the one thing that we will always commit to is improving our process. If you have any feedback for us, just let us know. We will dive in. Every week, we listen to we huddle up as a team and say, here's the feedback that we got from our tenants, from our owners, from the different departments, and how can we improve, right? How can we just get better? And if we have that constant improvement every single day, we've been doing that for decades now. And so that allows us to just have this really good, streamlined process. So if you want to get a hold of me personally, here is my email, my phone, here's my Calendly. You can text this number. I actually prefer the text at the end of the day. My voicemail is full because I get so much spam. But really appreciate you guys for all the ones that have listened to this entire session here. Hopefully you found some value. If there's anything else that you're interested in learning more about, or you thought I didn't do a good job on, I'm all ears. Please let me know. But that's it for this session, and on to the next. Thanks, guys.